If you search Simon Leslie, you will often find the real Ted Lasso. Tell me about that. What is going on? And also, welcome to Wrexham. When are we going to see welcome to Eastbourne?
Welcome to Eastbourne. Soon. Um, it's filmed. As soon as the season ends, we'll start releasing the episodes. It's a different story. And this is what I came to realise is like, I want to be an authentic football club. I want to be an authentically brilliant football club where we really care about the boys, girls, men, women who are playing at our club and make them better human beings. Once they leave us, they go on and do amazing things in the world. And they can say, this all started in Eastbourne. And there are lots of people whose love of the game has gone, their passion has been lost. And I'm slowly helping them bring it back one player at a time. And I want to build that infrastructure down in the South Coast that we can really do it. And in order to do that, I need better people. I need a better team. I need to keep improving the squad that I have around me to make sure that we can deliver that promise.
This is the Media Machine, where media, business, and innovation intersect. Hi, I'm Johanna Salazar, and I'll be your host as we examine the future of content, technology, and entertainment through the lens of four key pillars: process, profit, people, and planet. Today's guest is someone who's been breaking and rebuilding machines his entire career. Simon Leslie is a serial entrepreneur, founder of Ink, the world's leading travel media company, and the driving force behind ReachTV, now the largest airport TV network on the planet. But Simon doesn't stop there. He's also the owner of Eastbourne Borough Football Club, where he's bringing a fresh, human-centered approach to the business of football, with bold ambition and a little bit of real-life Ted Lasso energy, which is what I want to get into. He's an author, mentor, investor, and believer in power of serendipity. And he's here to talk about reinvention, storytelling, and why doing things differently just might be the secret to doing them better. But let's just get into it because this is a very long intro. Simon, I wanted to start a little personal because I heard in one of your older podcast interviews, you mentioned your grandmother, and you mentioned that she used to say some stuff to you, or just she would give you words of wisdom. My grandmother was really an important figure in my life. And so when I heard that, I was telling my husband, I'm like, it's making me want to cry. Tell me a little bit about what your grandmother used to tell you.
You used to say, it'll all be okay in the end. And if it's not okay, it's not the end. That was her famous one. I think actually John Lennon said that, but she told me it was her. And I always believed her. Is that I think the power of talking to people who are older than you is really important, and finding people who are ahead of you in the curve is what makes a real difference. And we don't do it enough. Young people sit on their phone, they consume that ridiculous amount of content, but I encouraged all my kids to work in old age homes. And some people thought I was a bit weird, but do you know what? The conversations they had with people were really unbelievable. Working in an old age home gives you real time to talk to people who've been through a hell of a lot, and they won't tell you, you need to work harder, you need to do more, and they'll tell you need to enjoy things.
Oh, I love that. You've had an extraordinary journey from co-founding Ink, a global travel media powerhouse, to leading Eastbourne Borough FC. When it comes to building teams and executing strategy, what are the biggest operational differences you've experienced between running a media empire and managing a football club?
It's funny, actually. I've got a really good answer for this now, because I've spent this morning with one of my friends, coaches, mentors, and he explained it to me. Because I said they're the same, right? Running a business and running a football club is the same. You've got the same stresses, the same challenges. People call in sick, people have got problems, people have got issues at home, mum's not well, and it affects our performance. He said there's one difference. Because nobody was 6 years old and wanted to be a salesman. And let's unpack that. Everybody has a passion for this game. since you could walk and talk, you wanted to kick that ball around, and you wanted to do, not everyone, but a vast proportion of the world loved football, and that's why it's the world's favorite game. And I think I need to work out how I um, deliver that same experience in business now that we had as footballers, and we have people turning up every week to cheer us, wearing our garments, wearing our brand, being really proud of what we do. And if I can bring some more of that back into the business environment, that means, you see people with tattoos of Harley Davidson. They've done that. They've bought into that brand so much they're willing to scar their body with it. And I think that's what we've got to do in all forms of businesses. How do people really love and appreciate our brand?
Now going back to Ink, your other business, because you have several businesses. Ink took a massive hit during the pandemic, but you bounced back. What were the most pivotal decisions or shifts you made to reinvent the company post-COVID? And how might those lessons apply to building financial stability in non-league football?
It was funny because I was trying to find parallels in 2020, and I went back to 2007, 2001. And actually, I ended up going all the way back to 1988 when I was about 20 years old, and I just started my fourth business, I think, third or fourth business. And I went into real estate, as you called it over there, and the market crashed, like properly crashed, and nobody knew what to do. And this spotty 20-year-old said, I'm going to do something differently. There was nobody financing mortgages. So I went to the developers and said, will you owner finance them? And they said, maybe. So I just had this ability to look at things through a different lens. So in 2020, that was the same thing. That was a thread that was in me that I didn't realize was in me from 20 years previous, 30 years previous, that I went, okay, I'm going to call on that guy because that guy figured it out. And that's what I did. And I started looking around, working out how I could make it better. 2007 or '08, recruiting was easy because everyone was getting fired. So I picked off all the great talent. But no one was getting fired in 2020, and everybody was holding on to their staff.
Mm.
And even if they were getting fired, you didn't want to hire them because you didn't know if you were going to actually have a business in 3, 6, 9 months' time. So you've got to look at every situation, and there's a time in your life when you've been gifted with a problem or an opportunity, to whichever way you want to frame it, and that will become useful at some point in the future. I saw a lovely thing on Instagram yesterday that said, you've got a 100% track record of dealing with your bad days so far. So keep going.
That's why I love talking to you and following you, because I feel like no matter what, you've gone through the craziest things, and you're always coming out on the other side with a smile and saying something positive. Running a lower league football club isn't just a passion project for you, obviously. It requires serious business acumen. What innovative revenue models or cost strategies are you experimenting with at Eastbourne? And are you pulling inspiration from the media world or just creating a whole new path?
I'm testing and trying everything. I'm constantly on the lookout for fresh ideas. I'm looking in different sports, not just in football. I take a lot of inspiration from American sports. I obviously spend a lot of time in America. I'm looking at what different brands are doing. Savannah Bananas, they've reinvented baseball. Um, there's just so many unusual niche type businesses that are bringing different concepts and different ideas to the game. So for me, it's not doing what everybody else is doing, not following the herd, and just being prepared to be brave enough to test things. I don't like using the word try, just to test things and to learn, because you learn from the testing. When you're testing all the time, you're learning, you're finding, okay, that didn't work. Why didn't it work? And being brave enough to keep finding new ways to test things, but also be clever enough to be able to really look at it and say, well, what was there any element in that worked that we can push on? We have a live DJ playing music as the fans come in. you've tried the face painting and the stuff to keep the whole family entertained. We bought ice cream machines so we could make Mr. Whippies. We're a seaside town. If you don't know anything about Eastbourne, it's a beautiful seaside town nestled between Hastings and Brighton, and it's a little bit in the down in the dumps, because Brighton to its left is thriving in an amazing place with the Premier League football team. Hastings is becoming gentrified, and this is going back to 1066. And then there's Eastbourne, which doesn't seem to have an identity. And I think football brings identity to a town as well. It gives the town identity. And I do think that what I'm doing is not just for the football club, but actually for the town of Eastbourne, because it is an unbelievably beautiful place.
You just said you don't like to say try. You like to use testing. Can you unpack
I just
that a
don't
little
use the
bit?
word try. I don't
Unpack
do
that
try.
a little bit.
You can't try. You can either do or you don't. There's no such thing as trying, unless you play rugby. Then you need a lot of tries. But I don't want to try. I want to do something and do it with passion. Now, you might fail or you might succeed, but you're not trying. You're just doing it. And I'm really passionate about doing things and getting things done, and using and finding the people who are ahead of you to give you the right advice.
I've been in soccer for a little bit now, and what I see in the US compared to what I see in around the world is soccer is not necessarily a family sport, because unfortunately there's drinking, if drinking is allowed. Um, and it seems like that's what you're trying to bring, that family element to what you guys are doing, and I love that. Is that something that you're transforming, that
I think
experience?
I think you get to spend quality time with your kids, where you've got a shared interest, a shared passion, um, and you can have a pint and you can sit and they can still come and they can have fun and they can feel like they're involved. And I think it gets to about 7 when a child chooses their team, and most of the time they're chosen because Dad was a Liverpool fan, therefore I'm a Liverpool fan, and but not everyone had a non-league team. Everyone had a big Premier League team, but not everyone had a non-league team or a local team. And the game is doing a little bit to support it, but not enough.
Mm.
And I want to encourage more and more um, people to bring their kids in, because they have something they don't get at the Premier League. They're closer to the action. They get to meet the players, to shake the players' hands, to get the players' autographs. It's a much more connected piece than it is at the higher levels of sport. These are just superstars, but at this level, that's my superstar, and he knows me, and he likes me, and he smiles at me, and I think actually that's much more important for someone as you're growing up. These are their role models of the future, and maybe one day I could be playing on that pitch.
From speaking to the hearts of global travelers to now energizing a local football community, how do you compare the mindset of audiences in these two worlds? What surprising overlaps or major contrasts have you seen?
I think the football fans are much worse, much harsher critics. In football, you've got vocal audiences, and if they're not happy with you, they'll shout at you from the. They'll just come up to you and point at you and like froth in your mouth and tell you what they really think. And I think sometimes in business, people don't tell you what they really think. They don't give you feedback. They just moan silently about you. So it's definitely much more public, much more voice for us, and I quite like that. I quite like it because but they didn't like it last year. They were shouting at me in the forums, and I got on the forums and I shouted back at them, and they went, "Well, you can't do that." I said, "Well, you're doing it to me. It works both ways, right?" And I think that sort of ingratiated me with them a little bit more, because they could see that I was as passionate about it as they were. In business, funny enough, I tell you why I did that, because in business I did the same thing. There was all these people on Glassdoor criticizing me and having a go about what I did. And I went on Glassdoor and criticized them back. And they went, my PR guy says, you can't do that. What I did was, I said, I don't mind people criticizing the business. It's not a problem. If we're not good, it's good feedback, right? We need feedback. I don't mind you criticizing me as long as you're using, if there's checks and balances, and clearly there's no checks and balances, so therefore I can't accept any of these reviews are honest and real. And after that, it calmed down, I had to respond in a different way to the way
Mm,
everybody else was responding.
mm.
Um, and I think that's how you tackle problems. Problems are just opportunities gift wrapped for you. Sometimes you have to peel back the layers until you find the real opportunity.
Yeah, that's true. In the tech world, you have to, um, there's a framework called the lean startup. It's build, measure, learn, repeat. So you build, then you go and you listen to people's feedback, you learn from that, and then you repeat it. Then you go back and you build again, based on that. So you've successfully leveraged TikTok and other platforms for the club. What do you think non-league clubs often get wrong or miss about content, branding, and digital storytelling? Because you are really good at it and your team really understands it. What's your advice on how they can punch above their weight in the media world? And tell us about what your son has done for the club because it's been incredible.
I would say I'm not great at anything. I'm just great at finding great people and then helping those great people to become even better people, at what they do. I actually went and hired the wrong people. Some of the wrong people. They were the right people. No, it didn't get me the outcome. Sometimes you do the right things, but you don't get the outcome. And other times you do the wrong things and get the outcome. So you figure out what's right. I got the outcome I wanted. If your team is full of great people, then you're going to have a great business, and it's a business with longevity, and that's what I'm good at. I mean, you don't know how good you can be yet, but I think I can see greatness in you, and I'm going to have to bring that out, and I'm going to drive you mad till it comes out.
So what do you think the non-league clubs are getting wrong? What is it that they don't understand or how are they missing out on some of the opportunities that you're seeing so clearly?
It's not even non-league. You go up to the Premier League. Some of our
Mm,
engagement is superior to some of the Premier League clubs. Um, we just got it right, and we're getting it right, and we're doing more and more of it, and we're testing all the time, and we're looking at what we're doing and saying, well, what works, what doesn't work. Be brave enough to test things and do things differently to the way everybody else is doing it, and everybody else does stuff which is quite boring. They don't really understand social media. That's what my son really added to the team, was this understanding frames. It's all about that first 1 second frame. And if that first second frame isn't right, you're going to get swiped past. And
hmm
he is a attention to detail freak in terms of framework and making sure. And he'll go back, and sometimes he won't bring the video out for 2 days because he's so obsessed with getting it right. And he talked about what he did the other week where the frame was just off, and it was on his birthday, and he was like, he left where he was going. He goes, no, I've got to go back and fix that frame. And that video then got 10 million views. And I think that's that attention to detail, caring about what you do, being passionate about what you do, and then you're going to get the outcome that you want.
So staying on this topic for a little bit longer, tell me about all the new soccer leagues that are coming out. Like there's all this new stuff happening, like the Kings and Queens League, all these new things coming out of
I can't
around the
even
world.
keep up with them all. I can't even
Yeah,
keep up
how
with
is
them.
this? How are you? Well, how are you keeping up? How are you learning from this? How are you applying some of the learnings to what you're doing now? Or how do you feel about it?
I think there's too much advertising in the world, and I think there's too much sport in the world. And people keep bringing out new things to sell advertising. Then a new football games to, but they got sponsors, and they're
Is it
these.
diluting? Is it diluting what you're trying to
No,
do?
I don't think how many of them will still be around in a year, 2 years, 3 years. I think it shows that there's a huge passion for more sport, for live sport, for experiences. Um, I don't know if they got it right. I don't know if some of it's better live than it is on TV. I think some of the TV experience and some of it is only on YouTube, which then limits your audience a little bit. It's not easy to get people to watch what you're doing and be engaged. And actually, it's all being led by creators and influencers, and that's the economy today. The influencer economy, I think, is it's achieving the attention. No, I was talking to a tourism board CEO yesterday, Minister of Tourism, really, and I said to him, you're spending all this money on this content that nobody's watching. He goes, yeah, because we're trying to drive people um, to our website, but it's not about that. We've got to take our information to where they are, where their attention is, where their focus is. And I said, you know what? You're the first um, person in that position that I've talked to that's actually gone and gets it, really gets it. It doesn't matter what happens on our website because our websites are boring. Yes, but if they're in TikTok or they're in YouTube or they're standing in a football stadium, you know, when they really are focused and we can get that message to them and get them excited. That's why you're seeing Visit Rwanda and Visit Rwanda on the sleeve of the Arsenal shirt and the Bayern Munich shirt because they realise that they spent that much money. They're going to get more TV views, more content than they would do by taking an ad in the Wall Street Journal or the CNN where they used to spend all their money. So it's about marketing in a different way. It's about giving people amazing audiences, amazing experiences. And that's what these new leagues are doing. They're bringing new, and maybe they're creating new audiences for football. I mean, a lot of them, to me, feel like futsal more than football. They feel like 7-a-side, 6-a-side, 5-a-side. And it's, they're making up rules as they go along and they keep changing the rules. And you actually don't even know where you are in the game. Like, what are they doing now? Where are they going now with this? And I think that's the challenge with it.
So you've called Eastbourne a sleepy side town often, with real potential. What's your vision for how the football club can be a catalyst for broader community revitalization?
I think one, it encourages people to come visit. The higher we go up the leagues, the bigger the teams that come and play us, which brings in tourism dollars, brings in new people who've never been to Eastbourne, and encouraging players to live in Eastbourne. I think that's good for the area. People seeing footballers wandering around, and I think since I've been there, there's been a lot of new businesses that have opened. There are new people coming from London who've coming in with a little bit more vision and belief. It's a sort of place where everything we've done that, been there, done that, got that T-shirt, and it's now time for more people, more brave people to come and throw their hat into the ring and make a real difference. As I said, it's nestled between the sea and the South Downs, which is a national park. So it is the beautiful part of the world. I mean, sometimes when I drive in there, I just look around and go, wow, look at this place. I just wish more people came here. I wish the roads were better as well.
I heard you say some couple of weeks ago that it was one of the few places that still had these beautiful homes on, by the water that were still, rather affordable.
Well, if you think what a flat costs in New York, right? You could buy an estate in Eastbourne for that. With a swimming pool and a tennis court. I just think it's an undervalued asset. A bit like the football club. It's an unpolished diamond, and that's why I'm doing this, all this outreach. I mean, I was in Barbados last month, and there's Eastbourne in Barbados, and I didn't know. So I'm now working with tourism board there to say, come on, let's twin Eastbourne Barbados with Eastbourne East Sussex, and that'll be quite a cool thing to do. I'll tell you a secret, actually. There's a hotel in Barbados in Eastbourne, and I've reached out to the general manager and I said, right, let's give away a holiday to Eastbourne Barbados to all the fans. Let's try and get one fan to win that. And again, just reaffirm the relationship between Eastbourne and the rest of the world. This season, we're giving away a trip to Miami. Last season, we gave away a cruise because obviously our sponsor is Norwegian Cruise Line. So I want to do stuff to just keep highlighting why Eastbourne. People always say to me, why Eastbourne? And I said, why not? This is something that I can get behind and really create a legacy.
What about the women's club? Tell us a little bit more about that. And what do you think about women's soccer?
At the minute, I'm more leaning to women's soccer than I am to men's soccer.
Me too.
The women's team, the women's are the champions. They've won their league. They won the league without conceding a goal, without a defeat. They've just won the first cup and they're still in the final 2 more cups. So this could be a fantastic season for our women, and hopefully the men will emulate the women. I made a commitment when I came here. I said, I'm going to invest in the men's and the women's game. They've had results slightly quicker than the men have had, but they're both getting better, and again, it's all about constant and never-ending improvement. Sometimes you can't even, the improvement's so small you can't even see it. That's what I love.
If you search Simon Leslie, you will often find the real Ted Lasso. Tell me about that. What is going on? And also, welcome to Wrexham. When is it? When are we going to see Welcome to Eastbourne?
Welcome to Eastbourne. Soon. Um, it's filmed. As soon as the season ends, we'll start releasing the episodes. It's a different story. Welcome to Wrexham. Whilst they've tried to make it about the people of Wrexham, it's about Ryan and Rob, and they're fantastic human beings, and they've done a brilliant job for non-league football in this country. Wrexham has gone beyond that now. Wrexham is on their way to the Premier League, and it shows that the path is there, but it also shows that put a lot of money in order to get there. And this is what I came to realise is I want to be an authentic football club. I want to be authentically brilliant football club where we really care about the boys, girls, men, women who are playing at our club and make them better human beings. Once they leave us, they go on and do amazing things in the world. And they can say, this all started in Eastbourne. And there are lots of people whose love of the game has gone, their passion has been lost. And I'm slowly helping them bring it back one player at a time. And I want to build that infrastructure down in the South Coast that we can really do it. And in order to do that, I need better people. I need a better team. I need to keep improving the squad that I have around me to make sure that we can deliver that promise. And we've come a long way. I got a lovely email from my mother today from one of my players saying how much impact I've had and helping him get his football career back on. And that's just a reminder of why I'm doing it. Sometimes you forget when you're just dealing with bills and you're dealing with people shouting at you or things don't go well or you lose. Sometimes you've just got to remember that there's some bloody good stuff you're doing every single month.
Yeah. And it's not cheap. I mean, you've invested quite some money into this, and it just feels like it's a money pit. And what do you need? What are your biggest challenges?
I need more money. Money will help us get what we need. The more money we've got, the more we can get a better team, better squad, get a better people around us. But the challenge is it's a loss-making business. And some people don't want to put money into loss-making businesses. That's where I've got to convince them that look beyond the profits, because it's a great business. It really is a great business.
Anybody listening to this, we need money and we need you to move to Eastbourne.
But they're not mutually exclusive.
Yeah, definitely.
You can send your money and send your people.
Print versus digital. Do you believe print media still has a fighting chance? Or is the future purely interactive and digital? I mean, you have ink still.
I still have ink. I still have magazines. I'm still about to launch new magazines. I believe the future is where the attention is. And right now, the attention is very much in social media. And you just got to make sure the product is where you get the attention. Mm-hmm. If that attention is in live sport, which is where I believe it is, that's where I'm going to play my game. If I think the attention is an aeroplane, I'll play my game in an aeroplane. But the truth is, I want to reach audiences where they are and bring them the best experience that I can bring them.
Back in 2015, you wrote about the future of in-flight media. You emphasized personalization, interactivity, and the enduring power of print in planes.
It still applies today. I mean, I've got airlines ringing me up and they're saying, will you relaunch our magazine? Will you bring the magazine back? And I'll tell you why. Because they tried to do it without print and people are not engaged because their information isn't that engaging in the place they put it. They're trying to drive people into their apps, but their apps aren't good enough. And that's not where they're searching for the information. Today, TikTok is probably used much more for travel than Google is used. And actually, I've witnessed 3 people this week who've used ChatGPT for search, not Google. And I think that's the challenge, as the world is shifting and changing, and you've got to adapt with them or adapt with it.
You call so there are the tech nerds and the nerds of stuff. You call yourself a sales nerd. What is one advice that you can give to people? Because I think every single person on the planet needs to understand sales if they want to succeed and add having a business, running a media empire, whatever it is. They need to understand what is one thing that you can help our listeners with.
Relationship is a sell, you know. Your partner had to convince you to spend the rest of your life with him. And if he didn't do a good job, you would have gone and spent it with somebody else. So, you know, there's a lot of people who say, I don't want to be in sales. I'm not a salesman. And salespeople don't want to call themselves to salespeople anymore. They want to say I'm a business development manager, or, you know, head of new business and all these things. And I think that's the challenge is like, first of all, you've got to accept that everything in life is sales. We are selling something, be it ourselves or a product. And then if you want to be the best in the world at what you do, or certainly good at what you do, then you've got to dedicate to that craft and you've got to learn harder than anybody else is if you want to stand out. And you've got to keep looking and reflecting. And just like footballers go back and they watch their games back, I encourage my team to listen to their sales pitches back, listen to their telephone calls, look at their emails, review them and go, is that the best message? Did I get that right? Did I get that wrong? And I think that's what it is. It's an art. And if you want to be the best actor, practice more.
Don't try, do.
Do. You're going to get paid a lot of money if you're better at what you do. If you're not, you're just going to get paid the same as everybody else. I took a team in last week and they were all sort of conforming and they were all together and they were all supporting each other and all being very nice about each other. And I said, one of you's got to shine the light on yourself. I said, you're not a chorus, you're a team. That means individually, we've all got to get better. And then the team gets better. I said, but if you're all conforming and, you know, don't want to say something difficult about one of your colleagues, or you don't want to stick your head above the parapet and go, I can do this better, I can make more calls, I can do more deals, then this isn't a team. You're not a girl band. You've got to get that spotlight and turn it on you and say, right, what can I do better? Where can I add the value so we are the best team that we can possibly be?
So your book, How to Live Your Second Life First, speaks to reinvention. Looking back on your career transitions from media mogul to football club owner, what mindset shifts helped you most? And what advice would you offer others thinking about stepping into their own second act?
Good question. I think the purpose of that book was actually a letter I was writing to my boys. There were 4 boys. I was writing them, this is what I think life is all about. This is where I think we're getting it right, wrong, or indifferent. And I can't do more than that. And then I think I've created what I think is a love letter to life, which is like we've all got something in us. Either they haven't figured it out, or they haven't found the people around them to help them figure that thing out, whatever that thing is. And that's what I'm passionate about. And I want people to understand that I was told that I wouldn't amount to much, I guess, a couple of times by 2 different people. And I just said, well, I'll prove you wrong. I was told by a very senior executive at Deloitte that I couldn't save this company, and I did. And so I've got a good track record of hearing the nonsense and hearing the noise and going, you know what, I could do a better job than that. I really can. And that's what I'm going to do. Be patient. Good stuff takes time. Even if you struck gold today, it doesn't mean anything. You've got to be able to do this season after season after season after season. And if you can keep doing it and you're still here, then you're doing something right. We don't need any more one-hit wonders. You know, we don't need get-rich-quick schemes. We need people who are definitely passionate about what we're doing.
Simon, where can our listeners and viewers find you?
You can find me in Eastbourne. You can find me in London. You can find me in Miami. All my social channels. Reach out to me. I respond to everyone personally. And I deeply care about helping other people. So if you want some help, I will do. Let's make commitment to each other, to support each other, to support the non-league football game, to support women's football, and support as many people as we can to make them better. Please follow Eastbourne Borough.
Yes, thank you so much. And also his books, Equanimity CEO in Crisis, There's No F in Sales, White Belt Thinking, I love all of them, and How to Live Your Second Life First. I love that. Thank you, Simon, so much. So if you're not following, follow now. Thank you so much. Thanks for listening to our show. Be sure to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. You can follow us at The Media Machine Podcast on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. The Media Machine is hosted by Johanna Salazar. Our producers are Mia Vinciguerra and Johanna Salazar. This episode was edited by Andres Cote. This episode features music from Envato Elements. Thanks for listening.